to order. Okay, we have all of our regular members here. 7, and Nancy Hammerstrom is on a Zoom call. Okay. John, any changes or additions to the agenda that you know?
No, none on my end.
Okay. The minutes of November 24th, 2025, any corrections? Changes? I'll make a motion we accept them as presented.
Second.
Move on.
Just a quick around the draw.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is that unanimous? That's unanimous. We have a public hearing tonight. Just to go over our rules for a public hearing, we ask that you sign in, and we're going to let the applicant present. We'll have comments from our town planner and any other, and our zoning enforcement agent if appropriate, and then we'll open it up to questions from the commission, and then we'll open it up to questions or comments from the public. Please wait till you recognize the comment, and we'll go from there. So that being said, we'll go into the public hearing. We're going to open the public hearing for the special permit application of WHL LLC for a new automobile dealership building for section 32.2 and 53.4.1 of the Columbia zoning regulations at 15 and 21 Route 66 East and Cards Mill Road, map 9, lots 66 and 68, a CM2 zone, lot area 6.776 acres. So, Mr. Glaude.
Yep, good evening. For the record, my name is Greg Glaude. I'm a licensed land surveyor and partner at Killingly Engineering Associates with a place of business at 114 Westcott Road in Danielson. I'm going to just pass out some full-size copies here for the commission to look at of the site plans.
We know the
Just one over here, we can share it. We've got the 11 by 17s, and they're pretty high quality.
Yeah, I think a little bit of space.
Mr. Chair, I can put the big maps on the screen also if you'd like.
Yeah.
Okay, so our we're presenting a public hearing for WHL LLC. We're at the corner of Cards Mill Road and Route 66 East. This is the property of Wiley Motors. If you remember, 3 years ago, we were here before you for some additions at Wiley Motors. The proposal right now is to bring Capital Dodge, Jeep and Chrysler into a new building. So I'm going to go to the existing conditions plan just to kind of show you what we have existing. And that's going to be sheet number 2 in your packet. So we are working with 2 parcels or 2 properties here. One of them is 21 Route 66, and that is the Wiley Motors building. And the other one is the corner property, which is 15 Route 66 East, and that is the former tire shop building. I believe it's now vacant. It's been purchased by WHL. Our proposal is to merge these 2 properties into one to accommodate it. So that we will have a total or a new area of 7.135 for this automobile campus. Sheet number 3 details what we'll be doing for the site demolition. Basically, we're going to put a fence around the perimeter of the construction area. We're going to remove the building. The existing tire building, that is, and then we're going to saw cut the pavement. There are other peripheral items that need to be removed in here, such as some fencing. There's one catch basin that will be removed from the existing premises. This is all paved area, by the way, that we're working with, or that the new building will be placed on.
So as I understood in the application, you're asking for an exemption from the flow calculation because it's all impervious surface.
Yes,
But it looked like the DOT did want those.
yeah, and I was actually gonna bring that up later on, but, so, yeah, we asked for a waiver for the requirement for drainage calculations because we weren't changing any of the drainage areas. DOT did ask for it, so we prepared them, submitted them to DOT, so we can remove that from our, asking for that,
Okay.
but we will provide them to you,
Okay.
since they wanted them to confirm what was going on. So again, this would be the location of our new building, kind of sitting kitty corner on the corner of Cards Mill and Route 66. There are several openings along driveway access points onto Route 66. And then very right near the corner, we are proposing to have those closed off. It'll be better for traffic flow. We're going to use the one main entrance here. We are proposing one new entrance over on Cards Mill Road, and that's basically for flow through this new building, because this new building is going to be a showroom. It is going to be a dealership service area, and they will have a service area that kind of goes through it, or a service drop-off that goes through the middle of the building. Proposed building size is 15,747 square feet. Again, that's showroom, that's the area for service. That's the entire building. We will be doing some relocating or some striping to kind of make traffic flow go around the building a little better here, because we have the service canopy of Wiley that we're very close to, and that we have to come through here. So we're about 25 feet away from that canopy with the new building. Our building is inside of all of the new setback lines that are there. We will be proposing some customer parking in the front of the building, and then we will have vehicle display parking along the front of Route 66 and also along the front of Cards Mill and kind of right at the corner of the property, as we see here. We'll have some restriping of parking to do behind. All service bays are in the back of this building, where it will be located. Trying to think what else we got to show on here. The only other thing I would show on this one is we are proposing a site sign on the Cards Mill side here, kind of at the corner, because I believe by the regulations with multiple buildings, we are allowed one freestanding sign per road. So we have an existing site sign on Route 66 for the Hyundai dealership. So we're going to propose one over in the corner here for the Dodge Jeep dealership.
Question, I see the entrance over here.
Yes.
And then there's another one. Where? Here?
There's an existing entrance right here between the two buildings that will remain. The other ones are proposed to be closed off.
All right, so there's only gonna be two means of egress.
Well, we have some more in the back here. There are some further up on Cards Mill that already exist. There are two others on Cards Mill. So there'll be one on Route 66 east between the two dealerships, and there'll be three on Cards Mill. So that's a total of four.
Okay.
For the whole site.
One quick question, the vehicle display is not just dedicated spot for vehicles to be put forward.
Right, for vehicles for sale.
Okay.
Yeah, and those show as dashed. And they're not included in the parking calculations, but they are showing as dashed areas on there. So I'm gonna just flip over to the grading area just to show you we haven't. The one thing I didn't mention at the beginning is the reason for our public hearing. There are two items. One is that we do abut a residential district to the rear of us. That's one of your zoning regulations that triggers a special permit. And the second one is that we are in a flood zone here associated with the brook across the street. And we do show a flood zone line at the back of the property here. And similar to what we did before, there is a whole section of your regulations regarding flood. And it's mostly to do with the building stating that the building shall have a flow-through design. So basically, the architectural company that will be working on the plans will have to design all of their utilities so that they're above the flood zone, either equal to or a foot above, I believe is what the zoning regulations call for. And secondly, we'll probably have flood vents in the building so that if there is a flood here, the water pressure will be equalized between the building and outside of it, so it's not going to create any kind of collapse. I don't think everybody's ever seen a flood here, but based on the zoning, the flood map, the flood does reach the back here. So And in concurrence with that, just as we did with the Wiley addition, when we did the Wiley Motors addition, there is an area of compensation for the area that is now going to become building, because we are bringing the grade up here, because this is the pavement out here where this building is going, it's kind of a belly, and everything gathers in two catch basins and then flows off-site into the state's drainage system, and then ultimately discharges just down the road to the east, and ultimately falls a ditch into the river. What our plan is, so the area that we're filling of wetlands, we're going to be doing a compensatory flood area in the back, and that does show on sheet number 6. So we're going to create that area there where we are creating, I think it's 750 cubic yards of flood, and that's going to compensate for the area of flood that we're displacing up front, so that we're not creating problems elsewhere off-site or for anybody else. So that has been calculated up. This sheet number 6 also basically shows, basically our drainage pattern or our drainage area and our contours. Essentially, these two buildings will be at similar finished floors, if not, within a half a foot of each other. So we're creating a series of low points between them, and we have some catch basins that will be installed, and those will ultimately tie into the state's drainage system. We did submit the plans to Connecticut Department of Transportation. Their comments did come back for us. They were looking for a stop sign and stop bar up front to be added to the plans on the Route 66 entrance. So that has been added to the plan. They were also looking for drainage calculations by our engineer. So Norm Tebow, who is the engineer of record for this project, he did create those or prepare those drainage calculations and submitted them to CDOT. So it's been a couple of weeks that they've had them. We're waiting to hear back on that. We've also, this site will be served by a on-site well and a septic system. So we have submitted the septic system design to Eastern Highlands a few weeks ago, or actually about a month and a half ago, because there's a public water system associated with this because of the number of employees. That had to go to the state health department for review. So we anticipate that tonight, this meeting would be held open because we do want to get responses back from both the state health department, Eastern Highlands, and the state Connecticut Department of Transportation. So, yeah.
I just have a question for you. Your compulsory flood storage. What does that really mean? Because it's higher than the rest of the property.
Basically what it is any water that we displace down here. So it is at the edge of the flood. So we're going to be excavating down basically almost like a detention pond.
I know. So how do the elevations work with, the water doesn't go uphill?
Well, the water, yeah, but the flood elevation is based on a maximum elevation of the number that is written there, which I can't quite see that one on mine, but
elevation is 251.
Right. So anything below 251. So the area of flood, the water will be level. It's not like the water is going to be flowing through here. It's more of just a kind of a slight rise to the water.
So it's not a storm runoff type thing. It's actually
it's actually just so that any flood that happens, anything that's displaced here will have a place to compensate for that flood. What we take away here, there's another area on site in the flood zone that will compensate for that amount of flood storage that's displaced by the building itself. So again, we've submitted everything to Eastern Highlands. Septic system is going to be pumped. It's up behind the building here. We did provide the septic design plan for as part of the record too. We did design it based on what the soil conditions were like. We've provided some site lighting. There's going to be building mounted lights. And I believe we have one pole light to the back. And I think that was an existing light up front. So yeah, there's one light, a freestanding light up front, and maybe 2 of them. And again, those will be dark sky compliant. We do have details of those lights. And to keep in compliance with the zoning regulations, those will be dark sky compliant lights. I think that's about all I have, and I would turn it over to the commission for any comments or questions that I can answer.
We just asked John, any thoughts you'd like to add?
Just a couple. I'm looking through the plan set, Greg, I don't know, do you have details of the lighting plan, or are you submitting that separately?
Yeah, on sheet number 6 has the two light details to the right side above the title.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, okay, I see him. Okay. Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I just had a couple of thoughts, and I think Greg covered much of it. First question is, because this is involving wetlands, we have Savannah online. Savannah, can you let us know what the status with the Wetlands Commission is?
Yeah, there's no wetlands application because there was when I called and reviewed this immediately. There's no work within the upland area, or there wasn't formally. Is the flood mitigation area now within the upland review area?
Line represents the upland review area. So all that would happen in the upland review area is very minor pavement markings that would be done over to the back of the building.
Yeah, I think when we talked, you said it was basically painting, correct?
That's it. Correct, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So there's no wetlands application, John.
Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, my second question was going to be about the drainage study. It does look like, as Greg noted, DOT is going to need to take a look at that because you're basically changing the drainage pattern into the state system, right? And they just need to review that.
Well, I will for the record state that there already are 2 catch basins in the area of the building that flow into the state system. So we're going to continue with that, and we're not changing any of the drainage patterns. This area will still flow into those things, but they just want to confirm that their system can handle whatever we change. If anything, we are going to be removing some of the pavement area along where the driveways were and actually turning that to grass. Even though that's off-site, it's in the DOT's right of way. We will be changing a little bit of the drainage pattern, but it would be for the better.
Okay. And third, you mentioned obviously this is going to go to public health for review of the community water, and we haven't seen any correspondence regarding the septic system at this point, right?
That's correct. It's there. We made some calls. It's been there about a month and a half, but they had to send it off to the state health department for review because of the public well. So we're waiting for some correspondence for them. We'll probably reach out to them next week between the holidays and see if anybody's got anything to say first.
Okay. And then just the last thing, Mr. Chair, I would just note, I don't think we necessarily require it, but on your zoning compliance table, I think on sheet 4, you just note proposed building height, 35-foot max, 24.5-foot height. Do you have any accompanying elevations on this yet, or are those yet to be determined?
Let me see. I'll have to check with Provost and Rivero to see. Yeah, we do have some. I have brought them with me tonight. We do have some. And they have a height of 24.6 maximum height for the building.
Okay.
Submitted.
I don't think we necessarily require it as part of the special permit, but it would just be nice to see as far as how everything's oriented and what it looks like in terms of height and massing.
Yeah, so I've got that presented in front of the public and the commission right now, but yeah, we did provide the architecture sheets. I apologize, John, if you didn't get those through the PDFs that were sent to you.
Yeah.
Well, we'll certainly make sure you get them, but we do have 4 elevations. We've got the front view, up front, which shows the Capitol garage, mostly a glass front end. It shows the back view where you see the overhead doors that will be there for service. And then it shows the 2 side views, the side that will be facing Cards Mill, and the side that will be facing Wiley Motors building. So it shows all the pass doors, shows all the side doors, and the type of siding.
Flat roofs.
Yes. Yeah.
Will you be submitting a separate sign application?
Yeah, for the sign, I'm gonna when they get into the building, I'm gonna let them submit for the signs that are on the building. We did show our site, a freestanding sign. But
Is there any detail?
I don't think we have a detail of it. I just applied with the height and the size, so they'll probably just grab those all at the same time. But I wanted to show the commission where that.
Okay.
And just to be clear, so Greg, so I'm looking at the right thing. I don't know if you can see on the screen. I'm looking at sheet 4. this triangle near the corner where it looks like it says BCLC. Is that's where the freestanding sign is going to be?
No, it's in the front corner there, John, just a little bit more to the left of that. You'll see
Oh,
there's
I see it right in
yep,
here.
side
Okay.
sign.
All right. What does BCLC stand for?
By doing this concrete lip curbing that would be around that island. That's gonna be
Oh,
a
okay.
grass island with some landscaping in it. There
Yeah.
should be some arrows there for that, but I don't think there is. So
Okay.
that's,
Is the existing well classified as a TNC, or is it by virtue of the addition that it's becoming escalating?
no, it already is classified and registered with the state. And
As a
it has
TNC.
yearly, because of the number of, on-site, employees. So it's basically a modification to it. So that's why they're redoing it.
So it's not escalating to become a TNC.
No,
That's a long process.
Yeah, no, it already is one, so it's a modification to the application.
All right,
Well-
Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
Okay, commission, any questions, thoughts? I'm gonna open this up to public comment. I'll ask you to raise your hand and then just identify yourself for the record. Yes. Ms. Dunn.
And one of the late from Mr.
Could you direct any comments or questions to the commission?
That long drainage will go into legal system. 3 rivers converge in that area, and I wondered into which river this this the Atlantic or
Good question. Hmm,
So I believe, I'm gonna look at my cover sheet. So I believe it's the Hopper River, but, no, it actually is the Willimantic River. But the drainage, I'm looking at sheet 1, which is our thing, all the drainage already goes into a drainage system and it goes down the road to the east a little bit, and then there's a ditch that goes to the river. And again, we're not increasing that flow, it already goes in that direction, we're just still tying into it with some newer structures.
Okay,
Thank
sure. Any other comments, questions from the public? Yes.
Nick Ferris, 281 Route 66. I'm the chair of the town's traffic transportation committee, but I'm talking today as an individual. These are my own thoughts and opinion. Whenever I see a new dealership being built in town, one thing I always want to double check is there will probably be car carriers coming through. Is there a dedicated place on the lot for those to come park on so they're not parking on roads? And then it looks like there's a discussion of adding a new entrance onto Cards Mill Road. There are already a number of driveways in that short segment of Cards Mill Road that's leading up to 66. That intersection there, I should say, is really 3 intersections when you take into account that triangle. A lot of traffic coming on different ways. Can be a little confusing and potentially dangerous at times. So a little bit of concern about having another driveway there. We potentially want to see if the revised use of the site would increase traffic in that area. I know it was previously, I think, an auto repair facility or something in that location. I don't know if the dealership would be much larger use, but just something to take into consideration. And just in general, I think at probably our next meeting, I'll bring out a review of that intersection in general. Unfortunately, it's unfortunate timing. There was just a multi-vehicle crash with a fatality at 66 and Carswell Road 4 nights ago. So we're probably going to look into that and might have some comments that we'll make before the next time the Planning and Zoning Commission meets.
So we'll certainly be continuing the public hearing to our very next meeting.
Yeah. Mary, I'm sorry, Mary Kay, can you turn your camera back on?
Oh, yeah.
We just lost your video there. Thank you.
Thank you.
And just to address a couple of those comments or to respond to them. So there's ample room on site. All of the loading and unloading of vehicles will take place behind the dealerships as they do now, as they presently do. There's plenty of room for that on site. Most of the traffic will be coming in. Most people will get here through the Route 66 And I would be, like to note out, I mean, it is very tricky around this corner intersection as stated. Yes, it's kind of a tricky intersection there, but we're closing off 3 of the entrance points that are associated with the tire building that's there now. So there's going to be less driveways. There's one here already. We're just kind of moving it a little further away from the intersection, probably about 250 feet from the intersection of Route 66 on Cards Mill. So we're just kind of, the one that's getting closed up that's real close to the beginning will move down the road. And then there's 2 on Route 66. Those will be closed off entirely. So there'll only be one access onto Route 66. It's a large access, but I think that should help improve some of the trickiness that happens there, because the tire dealership kind of has this wide open, almost drive-in all along it. It's not defined. This will make it more defined with curbing that's being added, so you'll have a continuous line of curbing all around this intersection and this change, this interchange here.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the public, comments? So let me make a motion that we continue this public hearing to our next regularly scheduled meeting, which is January 12th, 2026. Any other? I'll make that motion. Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So item 6.1 is not something we're going to have done. Next up, 6.2, the plan of conservation and development, reviewing the agriculture chapter and the transportation, utilities, and community facilities. I'll hand it to you, John.
Okay, thank you. So again, what we're dealing with right now is the agriculture chapter that we discussed last month, and so we drafted it up in the last month for review. There's nothing super dramatic in there, I don't think. We talk a little bit about the role that agriculture played with the heritage and foundation of Columbia, as well as broadly, some information about the current sort of purpose and value of agriculture and active agricultural sector in Connecticut. We include a map of our of our PA 490 parcels, and PA 490, for those unfamiliar, is basically a tax advantage status for land that is kept in farming over a period of 10 years. And it can be renewed cycle after cycle. And so these are essentially larger agricultural parcels that the owners have sort of intended to keep open. They're not permanently preserved necessarily, but it gives a sense of where some of our key agricultural lands are. We talk about we talk about preserving farm soils, because again, the value of a lot of our agriculture is in the soil itself. And that is what PA 490 and some of the state preservation programs are trying to do. That Columbia did identify, we have prime farmland soils, we have statewide other farmland soils of statewide importance, and Columbia has also indicated some particular soils of local importance. And so we have mapped all that, again, looking at those areas that are most suitable to ongoing agricultural activities. Talk a little bit about our right to farm ordinance and some of the active farming operations, including CSAs and Hartstone Farm and Winery, sort of the diversity of agriculture. We talk a little bit about the cost of community services study, which is something that was tremendously, it was a field of study that your previous planner, Paula Stahl, contributed significantly to, and did a number of these studies. I believe did one in Columbia probably 2 decades ago, but more recently there was a study in Colchester demonstrating that for every $1 in local residential taxes, $1.14 is used in services. So broadly speaking, residents is a net loss for municipalities. However, agriculture is extremely service light. So every dollar paid in local property tax on agricultural land, only 17 or 18 cents is needed in services. So you wouldn't necessarily take this to its logical conclusion that, well, therefore everything in Columbia should be agriculture and we should ignore residential. What that points out is, in addition to the food benefits and the natural resources benefits, the habitat, water quality, there's also financial benefits to a municipality, even if it doesn't look like it's being particularly productive. So we talk about that a little bit. And then we get into the goals, and the goals are fairly simple, which is, again, continuing to try to preserve agricultural lands, not only for the value of the soil, but also the identity and heritage of Columbia, continuing to engage with the agricultural community and sector to make sure that we understand the value of Columbia as an agricultural town, and then work with the existing farming community on ways to improve the financial viability, because some of the best way to keep land in farming is to make sure that those farms are profitable. And then we have a series of specific action items focused on PA 490, working on transition to make sure that new farmers, because the farming sector is one of the oldest from a demographic standpoint, and so making lands available and to sort of the next generation of farming is really, really important. And then taking advantage of tax incentives and other initiatives to basically reduce costs on farmers and increase profitability to keep that land in farming in Columbia. So that's the broad overview. I'm happy to answer any questions or take comments that people may have on that. But this was largely based on the input from last month and subsequent to that.
Just a question. So what I see is there's maps of PA 490 farmland. What about PA 490 woodland preservation?
Yeah, we could throw that on. If you wanted to throw that on this map as well, we could.
Well, is under agriculture the right place to do it? And I throw that out as a question to the commission.
Yes, yeah. Yes.
Yeah, okay. I mean, insofar as forestry is agriculture, certainly.
It was in the same place in the last POC, so we should.
Yeah, so I would want to document it here and make it all one easy to identify place and give a perspective. What might also help is maybe if it's easy to ascertain or calculate, a chart indicating the total amount of land within the town of Columbia on a percentage basis versus the total lot area that is in farmland or woodland, anything in PA 490 status, and then any of the other identifiable things, just to give people a perspective so that they might, if they want to pursue what the benchmarks are in other towns.
Okay, that sounds.
Any thoughts on that? Yeah, I think those would be good numbers to have. And I really want to make sure we highlight how economically advantageous farming is from a low cost to service standpoint. That's probably information the Board of Selectmen, they're considering any tax incentives to try and increase the viability of farming. They probably would want that information readily available.
John, what is the source of the this map data, the 490 farm, PA 490 farmland?
I'm sorry, what was it? What's the question of it?
What is the source of that map? The data.
That's the tax assessor. So the tax designation for a PA 490 land, would be different. So we would just basically turn on the layer where the assessor coded it as what's called use assessment farm, use assessment forest, and just that. So it's the tax assessor keeps those records.
Why do you ask that question? I asked that because it's inaccurate. I
totally agree with Walt on this.
There's 4 or 5 major discrepancies that I can see myself. And I was wondering, you said it comes from the assessor's map layer?
Yeah, well, okay, but yeah, well, tell me what's incorrect, and we can go back to Mary and try to figure that out.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for being here. Let me just throw this out without knowing any more detail about it. Is there a chance that that land is categorized as woodland as opposed to farmland, even if it might be used as farmland?
No, 'cause
Oh, okay.
No?
Okay.
Okay.
Even Ronnie's exits on top of the hill is classified as DA 490, and I know that.
What about Robinson Farm? Is that,
Nor ours.
okay.
So, no, there's a lot of discrepancy.
Jason, you're a lot in 490 for a while.
Yeah, Zegda Farm is in here somewhere. Is it not? Is it not listed? Well, if it's town owned, I don't know if that would be
Which
the
one? Well, this
the,
one is.
the Zegda Farm.
That's just the soils. The soils, so, yeah, I know.
Oh,
this
the
is-
soils map.
The soils map just says what,
Is it prime farmland?
yeah, that the soil is good, is tillable for farming, basically. It doesn't
Yeah,
even,
well,
it
well
doesn't
drained.
classify, like if it's wooded right now, as long as the soil is tillable underneath that wooded lot, it just classifies it as prime farm land or local or statewide woods.
But on this map, you're right, your property is not even listed here.
Right. 490, on the other hand, you have to, for lack of a better term, will opt into 490, right?
Correct.
So those should be kept in the, I mean, those are attached to the property's tax records essentially, because it's, is it an exemption? Well,
It's a reduced
It's a
it's a
reduction.
reduction.
reduction in appraised value, not
adjusted.
assessed value. The appraisal value doesn't change,
Right.
just the assessment numbers change. So something could, normally if it's, $100,000 worth of property, it's assessed at $70,000. The assessment might be $12,000. And
And that, it is possible that the farm again, under farmland preservation is not classified as being 490. There's two different.
One is unrelated to the other, Ian. One's unrelated to the other.
I thought saying that Ronnie's just was not the export.
But there's no relationship between between the two. Whether it's considered in conservation or not, it still has a certain amount of assessment. And whether it's classified as 490, I was looking directly at, in several large parcels that are distinguished already as 490, and they're not classified as 490. And they are in conservation as well, some of them.
Right. A couple of, are there new properties in town that are under an full forestry classification? I forget the title of that one.
That's 490 probably. The 490 classification is,
The name had 10 for 10 years. You could keep it, and it was just for forms.
okay, we're still talking about 490.
Is that
Yeah.
490?
When you apply for 490, they evaluate your entire parcel that you want to put in 490. And areas that are in grassland are classified as black grassland with certain assessment, timberland and certain assessment, marshland and certain assessment, but they all are under 490. It's all under 490. It's just how is that specific pasture or field or forest classified when it comes down to the actual.
in the major categories break down into woodland and farmland. Those are the major categories in terms of the number of acres you need to get into that status of applying for PA 490 status. That's the state
And the
statute.
rules are changing every day too.
Okay.
It used to be that there were probably 8 different classifications under 490. I honestly can say that when we were classified, there were that many. Today, I don't know, and the acreage requirement has changed as well.
Okay. Any thoughts on this? It's good.
Yeah, I like it. I really like the emphasis on the right to farm ordinance too. So, no, I've read through it and liked it.
Thank you, John.
Okay, so we'll make those updates. Thank you very much for the.
I know
for the
you put a
comments.
lot of work into it, but I don't want to make short shift by not discussing it a lot. I just, it's in very nice shape.
Yeah, I think we're coming along.
So if we can make sure that we interact with the town assessor to make sure that the data is more up to date, that would be great. We ready to move on to the transportation, utilities, and community facilities?
Sure. So again, so this is just a preliminary conversation, looking for thoughts and comments about transportation matters. Again, and it's not just transportation, certainly, bike and pedestrian, but also, other key elements of infrastructure and what kind of connects us as a community. I would like to thank Nick. I believe he's there in the room for his outstanding input. And I'm going to basically use this as a jumping off point. And we'll basically be marking this up if people have additional thoughts. Again, excuse me. We're looking essentially for some significant things that may have happened over the last 10 years, either good or bad, just significant changes. And then things that we're looking for over the next 10 years, things we're concerned about, things we are hoping for. Again, broadly in the range of transportation and in other infrastructure. Some of the significant events that Nick contributed, again, were trip funding for Thompson Hill Road Bridge and culvert rehabilitation, which was significant. That just came in a couple of months ago. Hop River Road bridge replacement. There are, and obviously this one is very, very timely, increases in actual or perceived safety issues and crashes along our state and local roadways. And then the recent or relatively recent creation of the Traffic and Transportation Committee, which is how I believe Nick prepared this in those auspices. So please, this was, I don't believe, this came in, I think probably yesterday or today. So I don't know if we got this fully distributed, but this is important input, and I welcome everyone to consider this and add to it. So, Mr. Chair, if you want to begin with like some of the concerns or goals and hopes, or just open it up for people to share their thoughts about our transportation system.
We could ask Nick to speak to this, highlight what your thoughts are on it.
Certainly. This list was not too difficult to put together. We discussed it as a committee, made a few additions, but we're kind of looking at a holistic approach to traffic and transportation within the town and all of the different modes. We certainly have several points of addressing vehicular traffic, which personal vehicle is your most common mode of transportation down in Columbia. But we made several notes about how there's a bit of a lack of pedestrian and other facility related to that. The term micromobility refers to everything that's, when you think bicycle, personal vehicles for one, maybe two passengers that are not just regular cars. We would like to see improvements to infrastructure to support those. Additional improvements for pedestrian access, especially along limited access roadways like highways and bridges. It can be rather dangerous for someone who needs to cross along the bridge to be able to do so safely if there isn't a sidewalk or extensive shoulder for them to do so in. It would be nice to see additional multimodal connectivity. Right now, if you wanted to hop a bus to Hartford to get the train to New Haven, New York, it's not an easy thing for most people of Columbia to do. There are some systems out there to support that. I think increasing awareness of those and looking into additional alternatives over the next decade would be great to do. And yeah, there's a lot of ways that we can modernize transportation engineering, as we look to any improvements that will be happening in town in the next decade or so. So we'll be aware of those. That's kind of what we had about looking forward to things in the next decade. We did make a mention of maintaining existing trail infrastructure. So you can equate trail with transportation, but it's certainly how we transport people on foot around town more frequently than some people realize. So we definitely want to capture that point in there. You know, it's mentioned in other sections. And we have a lot of goals and hopes that we've listed here. A lot of it involves coordinating with proper outside agencies, state and regional agencies for different opportunities for improvements as development continues. I know there's a lot of eyes looking to potential improvements at the intersection of 6 and 66. Realigning that is a potential thing that might happen in the next 10, 20 years. And that might even open up some additional commercial development, residential development possibilities in there. Yeah, it's pretty much all stated here. Didn't have too much more to add other than what was already captured. We try to be as exhaustive as we could. Yeah.
There was a movement, what, a little over 10 or 12 years ago to try and create a pathway from the center of town out to Lake Road on Route 87. That was not pursued.
It is still something that is in the back of our heads. We're not saying no, we're going to keep everything in mind. And if we see
that was a challenging discussion.
Fantastic to have, personally, I think. But
came up a year and a half ago again.
Did it? See,
The cost was over $1 million from the sidewalk from here to Lake Road. $1 million.
Oh, the sidewalk.
And then the question, the sidewalk, they said sidewalk. And then the question was, who maintained it? The homeowners? Because it's on their property now.
Well,
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, what was the beginning of that? The issue of extending sidewalks along 87 from sort of the town hall campus up to Lake Road?
Yes.
And the concern was basically maintenance and the perception of taking of property?
No, I didn't say anything about taking the property. The cost was over $1 million.
Yeah.
And when you got to Lake Road, then you'd have no crossing whatsoever, 87, except for run for your life. So that would cause another problem. And then on Lake Road down to the beach, that was, that would probably be brought up as an extension, because why would you walk from here to Lake Road and stand there? My guess is you probably want to go down to the beach. So at that time, a year and a half ago, the Board of Selectmen said, this time we're not entertaining it. If it was $1 million a year and a half ago, now it's $2 million.
That's true too.
okay.
But initially it did come up 10 to 12 years ago, and the homeowners, 87, they packed the room.
They did pack the room.
They packed the room.
Well, if it was still a thing, I would want to mention it here in case state or federal funding could be brought to bear on it. But if it's not a thing, then let's pass on it. Better to talk about it now than to not talk about it. One of the reasons for what we do here is for hooks to bring in outside funding. So it isn't a town expense.
Well,
Okay.
I got nothing.
All right. I got nothing.
Can I just add one thing?
Sure.
I'd like to see it included just in case of the outside chance of us getting some funding for it in the future. It would be a nice feature in the town. If we exclude it, would we cut ourselves out of any possibilities in the future? If we leave it in, no harm, no foul, and then maybe somebody might wave a magic wand at some point in the future and we could get something.
What's everyone's thoughts on that?
I think we can include it.
as a possibility.
Yeah, and I mean there are significant grant funds available often about this, and we've looked at applying and actually did some preliminary cost estimation that would be suitable for grant applications. But yeah, again, it was those same issues of community support and maintenance and things like that. But yeah,
I think one sentence referencing if public funds were available
sure,
to
definitely.
allow for improved access from the center of town to Columbia Lake and keep it that broad. That's probably as much as we would want to say about it, because I know there was a lot of pushback from the public about taking of land along Route 87 for a bike path / sidewalk area. There was a lot of pushback, and I don't anticipate that changing. But I'd rather leave the hook in there in case something changed in the future, and for us to go back to the federal government and they say, well, it's not in your POCD, and there was something out there that provided a lot of funds. Yeah, I don't think there's any harm because it's going to be.
It just leaves the door open.
Yeah,
Sure.
it leaves the door open. The other thing, and it's not certainly a goal of anybody at this point, but whatever enabling language and keeping it as non-specific as possible, that would be great, John. Simple sentence.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, you gotta remember too about that back 10, 12 years ago was, there were a number of people who didn't want to lose their trees. They were close.
The trees that are now gone.
They're all gone.
So, yeah, we don't know what the future brings. If we can bring in other money, what's the term? Other people's money?
Yeah.
It's actually our money.
Sure.
We take it out of our pocket and distribute it as they want, because the state has no money until they reach into our pocket. So I just wanted to.
I know, I understand.
So, but there are times when money does come up. I know a year and a half ago when we talked about this, the state had grant money to pay for the site engineering, and about 200,000. But for us to put it in, it was over $1 million. The state had site money and engineering money for about $200,000.
Okay.
So there are times when money does come available. I know they talked to John and I last week on different things. We talked to the state and they brought up a couple of different things. So we'll keep our eye on that. So,
okay.
Yeah.
If the Board of Selectmen reviews this and they see some things that are in the back of their mind that we want to incorporate what the Board of Selectmen and FIPAC are aiming at for future infrastructure improvements. If we can bring in grant money for that, this is the time and place to put it in the plan.
Yep.
Everything that I heard tonight, Route 66 and 6, we talked to the state last week, 87 and 66, we talked to the state last week. Everything has been kind of discussed right here already.
Okay.
So it's in the plan.
We good with this for tonight?
Yeah.
Nick, thank you. John, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up, new business. We have election of officers. I'm going to suggest the way we do this, do it one position at a time. We have chair, vice chair, and secretary.
Correct.
Positions. And we usually handle this with verbal nominations from the floor. And then we conduct a vote when all nominations are done. So the first position to discuss, this is for the upcoming year from beginning after tonight through approximately the first or second meeting after the election period next year. Actually, the effective dates of these positions are what, January 1 through December 31?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, for the bylaws. So that said.
What position are you opening up for?
Chairman.
I would like to nominate Rick Massett, Chairman.
Thank you.
I'd like to nominate Justin for chairman.
Okay. Any other nominations? Pardon me?
Hold on a second. I'm having trouble with my. Can you hold on? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Hold on. I'm just having trouble with my camera.
We can see you just fine too.
We can see
Oh,
you
I,
again.
okay, I lost you. I couldn't see you. And I can't get to my microphone, but it's unmuted. Okay. All right. So I second the motion, right?
Yeah, so there was a nomination. So if there's no other nominations, I'll go in the order that they were nominated. All those in favor of myself for chair, raise your hand. Okay, that's 3. All those in favor of Justin for chair? Okay. Congratulations.
Thanks.
So you'll be chair as of the first meeting in January. Vice chair, nominations. I make a motion. Anyone interested in being vice chair?
I'll nominate Rick Massive.
No, I don't. I'm not interested in that. Absent that, we have to leave that position vacant. Are we allowed to by our bylaws?
Nancy.
Nancy Hammerstrom for vice chair.
No.
Any other? Okay. Any other nominations? Others in favor of Nancy for vice chair?
Leave it.
Okay. That prevails. Congratulations.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, I will tell you that she spoke before your vote was taken. I think you should probably listen to what she had to say.
Oh, I'm sorry, Nancy. Go ahead.
Yeah, I declined the nomination.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So we don't have a candidate for vice chair at this point. If anyone else is interested.
Anybody else want to do it? Well, Marty?
Okay. Vacant. Any nominations for secretary?
There's no. Okay, sure. I'll nominate Dave Holcroft for secretary.
Okay. Any other nominations? All those in favor of Dave for secretary? Okay, that is 6 in favor, and Nancy abstain or negative?
Abstain.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Next up is nothing under anything you want to bring up under regulation revisions in the subcommittee meeting?
So we met about a week ago. We are working on some new regulation revisions, adjustments to rear lot setbacks, some consultant reimbursement language, ag regulation review, and also just discuss some sign regulation review. So the big thing that came from that is we will be regularly meeting the third Tuesday at 1 p.m. here. So if anybody wants to participate.
Okay, anything on the communication and reports? I didn't see anything. Nothing. Anything under open discussion? Nothing. Audience of citizens, anyone?
Well,
yes, John?
no, so I just a couple of things under reports, if I could.
Sure.
And it's a little bit open discussion. So so as Justin mentioned, I believe, yeah, regulatory review is going to be meeting on a more standing basis. So I think, as you said, third Tuesday of the month. There will be, because of Public Act 25-1, which was House Bill 8002, there will be a couple of additional regulatory changes that we're going to have to make over the next 6 months or so, unless something changes in the upcoming legislative session, which would include more formally allowing small scale multifamily, which is to say 2 to 9 units in commercial areas as of right, which could be a site plan. And I believe in our commercial district, we already have multifamily, and I think in our commercial district, multifamily is still special permit. But so we may need to tweak that down to site plan. But so there are a couple of minor regulatory changes that we're going to have to make because of the new Public Act. I'll note also, just by way of disclosure, it's not formal yet, but that same Public Act 25-1 created a new council on housing development that's going to oversee the basically production of housing growth plans regionally or municipally, most likely regionally, as well as overseeing a new grant and aid program that will help municipalities with their housing goals. And that could include, extension of infrastructure, that could include bridge loans or financial matching for private investment, but it's a grant program. And I note all of that because I've been asked by the Speaker of the House's office to be the co-chair of this council, which will start its work in January. So it looks like I'm going to have a seat at the table in terms of determining how housing growth gets shaped in Connecticut, at least where the government is involved. So look forward to that, and certainly we'll have Columbia's best interests in mind at that table. And lastly, and just personally noting the results of the election, I just wanted to, for my own sake, thank you, Rick, for your decades of outstanding service to this commission. It's been a real pleasure working with you as chair, and I'm glad you're not going anywhere just yet.
Thank you. Audience of citizens. Yes.
Hi, I'm Rhonda Kincaid, the Basket Shop Road. I'm really speaking for Coalition on Diversity and Equity. We had submitted some proposed suggested language for the Plan of Conservation and Development to add to the philosophy and goals section. So I just, I know in the minutes last time it said it was related to the economic section. It actually was for the philosophy and goals section. It was really an effort to help set kind of the tone of the plan. The plan is something that over the next 10 years will be hopefully guiding the decisions that are made that will help Columbia continue to be a real thriving community for not only the people who live here, but the people who hopefully will be attracted to move in and businesses to be attracted to come in. So I just would ask that you all, if you haven't had a chance to read it, if you would read it, and if you have any questions, let us know. There's also kind of a tip of the hat to the process that you all have put in place for the Plan of Conservation and Development, and just basically saying that this is what Columbia values, that value input, value differences, and that really has an impact and makes our decisions stronger because we get so many different points. So.
Thank you. Anything else? I'll make the motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.